Hello again everyone and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious, and today we're going to be on the Alpha Network going over Diana V2. This is a pretty sizable update, but it doesn't actually change the basis of Diana too much. Before we begin though, I just want to say please make sure to like and subscribe down below as it really helps out the channel a lot, and use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. Without any further ado though, let's get started. Alrighty, so here we are on the forums looking at the Mythological Ritual V2 event. There is a lot of information to go over here. It is very dense. I'm going to try to do a little bit of stuff on the forums as well as hopping in game to show off some of the new items. But the long and the short of it is that the Mythological Ritual event has not fundamentally changed. You will still be going around going for burrows. However, now you can upgrade the spade, which means you can get longer burrows, which generally should lead to increased stats of getting rare mobs, which means more chances to get rare loot, which means more loot. Hopefully you understand what I mean by that. Now we're going to actually get into the new additions, starting off with the new mobs. There have been several new mobs added to the Mythological Ritual event. Increasing the rarity of your Griffin pet obviously unlocks 2 new mobs per tier. As well, when you upgrade your pet, all the mobs get stronger but drop more items. So that gets you more gold and more ancient claws, as well as giving you an increased chance of dropping their signature drop. So as you can see, for something like the Inquisitor, which drops Chimera, that chance can go to 1.25%. Pretty notable. There are also some new additions here, the Stranded Nymph, as well as the Cretin Bull and the Harpy. These drop the Washed Up Souvenir, the Cretin Urn, and the Antique Remedies. So keep that in mind. They wanted to move things seemingly away from the Inquisitor and move it to other places. As well, there's the Sphinx, which drops the consumable brain food, as well as the Manticore and the King Minos. These drop some pretty great items, as you can see here. We'll go in game and show these off in a little bit, but these can be used to get some high-ranking items for the Mythological Ritual event. There are also some new attributes within this update. So there's the Cretin Bull, which gives you 40 defense against mythological mobs. There's the Minotaur, which gives you up to 5 magic find on mythological mobs. There's the Sphinx, which gives you up to 5 tracking on Griffin burrows, and we'll go over what tracking is in a little bit. And there's the King Minos Shard, which gives you up to 10% more coin gain on Griffin burrows. The reason why that's relevant is that Crown of Greed, or Crown of Avarice rather, got changed around a little bit, and now there is a reason why you would want to get a lot of coins from Griffin burrows. So to take a look at the items, we are going to have to look through Centauri's menu a little bit here, but the start actually begins with the spade. The spade can now be upgraded, increasing the maximum burrow chain length, as well as giving you a chance to get some of the new items, notably the Mythos Fragments, which can be used in multiple different capacities, but notably to upgrade the Challenger Armor, which you get from gold and griffin feathers and basically the ancient claws, to upgrade it up to Mythos level. At this Mythos Armor level, you get some additional tiered bonuses. Notably, you'll get some additional burrows in the chain, which is pretty nice for reasons we'll talk about later, as well as more magic find on mythological mobs. The armor in general reduces the damage you take from mythological mobs, and if you want to see the recipe, this is what it looks like for Challenger. Once again, nothing too crazy. And here is what it looks like for Mythos. It will require a lot of the Mythos fragments, which you need from upgrading the spade. If you want to know how to upgrade the spade, by the way, we can see right here, here's the Archaic Spade, which is the first upgrade. Takes the base spade, as well as some gold blocks and enchanted ancient claws, as well as some griffin feathers. And you can upgrade that again using the Mythos fragments, enchanted gold blocks, enchanted ancient claws, and a braided griffin feather. To go over the rest of the items here, there is now a bunch of new accessories, as you can see, notably the Anguish line. And if you look at the recipe for that, it is actually going to be plasma. You're going to need quite a lot of plasma in order to upgrade this. As you can see, just many stacks of plasma, but that will give you 3 magic find as well as 1.5 true defense. There are also a couple of big changes I want to talk about. Notably, the Crown of Avarice. Its ability is a little different. You now gain 5x the amount of coins from Griffin burrows, and they are consumed by the helmet. That's a little different than how it works on main, where it just consumes all your coins. Also, the damage and magic find bonuses are now against mythological mobs. So keep that in mind. This is going to be a lot more focused on mythological mobs. As you can see, the Crown of Greed has also been made into a much more focused mythological mobs item. There is also a major change to the Derailious blade, as you can see here. Notably, it now copies the base combat stats of your active pet, meaning if you put on a golden dragon, for example, you will not get the magic find from the golden dragon. It gives you bonus damage and magic find on mythological mobs per bestiary tier you have across all of them. Keep that in mind, it is a difference, and it will make these a lot more focused on the mythological ritual event. A major part of this update to note is actually related to this item right here, the Hephaestus Anvil. This is an item that you can make, and it basically allows you to create upgrades to a bunch of different pet items. It costs the base Zog Anvil, as well as a bunch of enchanted gold blocks, braided griffin feathers, mythos fragments, and enchanted ancient claws. And if you use this item in tandem with a bunch of different of the pet items here, you can see they give you upgraded forms. So the Hephaestus Souvenir gives you 10 sea creature chance. If you use 3 Minos relics, you get the Hephaestus relic. This increases all pet stats by 50%. If you use antique remedies on it, you get Hephaestus remedies, increases your strength of the pet by 100%. The Dwarf Turtle Shelmet, which by the way got a slight change and now gives you true defense, that can be turned into the Hephaestus Shelmet. This gives you 20 true defense and makes the pet's owner immune to knockback. There's also the Crochet Tiger plushie. You can get the Hephaestus plushie, plus 50 bonus attack speed. And then finally, there's the Cretin Urn. This is a new drop. This one gives you pet luck, and it can be upgraded into an item that gives you 10 pet luck. There are also a few other rare items I want to go over, notably the Manticore and the Shimmering Wool. The Manticore can be upgraded into the Manticore Claw. This is a pretty powerful item, as you can see here. Costs a lot of enchanted ancient claws as well as a lot of enchanted gold blocks. But the TLDR is it will copy 10% of your active pet's combat stats. It is a pair of gloves, but it is extremely powerful, as you can see. There is also the Shimmering Wool, which can be utilized to make the Golden Fleece. This one is also pretty strong, giving you quite a bit of true defense, as well as strength and crit damage, granting you bonus magic find on mythological mobs and giving you tracking on griffin burrows. This one can be made from a lot of enchanted gold blocks, enchanted wool, shimmering wool, and the braided griffin feather. For those who were more interested in the actual tracking stat, here it is. It allows you to get elusive mobs more often, so keep that in mind. You are able to upgrade it and get it in multiple different ways. They also nerfed the Void Gloom Seraph upgrade related to this. It previously gave 15 of this stat, now it only gives 5. But there is a new item you can get. It's a consumable from the event. It's called Brain Food. It drops from one of the mobs. That can give you an additional 5. There are some other things I wanted to go over as well, notably the Fabled Stinger. This allows you to upgrade Venomous. There's the new Mythological die. I think this is a 1 in 1 million from any of the Griffin Burrows. It doesn't matter what level your spade is. There's also the Mythic Griffin Upgrade Stone. This can upgrade your Griffin pet. And as you can see, the upgrade here is pretty nice. It allows you to get bonus tracking on Griffin Burrows for each burrow excavated in your current chain. So if you have a chain of 9, by the 9th burrow, you're going to have quite a lot of tracking, and you're going to have a higher chance of getting elusive mobs. Things like Inquisitors, for example, which should give you higher overall rates of stuff like Chimera, which is very nice to see. There are also a bunch of other new additions here, notably the Carnival Shop got a few extra perks for the Mythological Ritual event. This will increase your damage dealt to mythological mobs by up to 25%, give you 10% more coins from Griffin Burrows, give you up to 3 more magic find on mythological mobs, and it's intentionally a very small amount of magic find for reasons. I don't know why they're saying that, but sure. They also are giving you up to 5 tracking when digging up Griffin Burrows. There are notably a bunch of changes related to burrow length. Before, there were always 4 burrows in a chain. Number 1 always contained an arrow, number 2 and 3 were mob or treasure, and number 4 was guaranteed to be something from the treasure table. However, now, because the base burrow length is 4, there are now additional ways to extend the burrow chain length. This includes the Mythos equipment, which I showed off in game, that gives you up to 2 burrow length, and the upgraded spades give you +2 and +4 burrow length, so you can have a maximum of 10. Instead of the previous rules, all burrows now have a 75% chance to be a mob, and a 25% chance to be a treasure. This change should increase your Inquisitors per hour due to burrow number 1 no longer being forced to be an arrow, and number 4 no longer being forced to be a treasure. It is also worth noting that the longer burrow chains are desirable because of the Mythic Griffin perk, which we talked about. So if you have a maximum burrow length of 10, you are 10% more likely to find an elusive mob in that final burrow, which is very, very cool. I'm not going to get too into the weeds here in terms of the drop changes, but the overall rates are nothing too crazy. Griffin feathers remain at around 66% of the drops. Mythos fragments at tier 2 are a 1.78 drop, and at tier 3 they are a 3.31 drop. The braided griffin feathers are pretty rare, as you can see though, and you can even get up to 1,000,000 coins, which is interesting to see. I imagine that might actually end up at quite a decent profit for the average player if they end up doing a full event. So you are going to want to get that tier 3 spade. They also all have a 1 in 1,000,000 chance to contain the new mythological die. In terms of quality of life changes, some of the big things include obviously the NPC sell prices, which were added retroactively to a lot of things in the game. There is now true defense for the dwarf turtle Shelmet, which is pretty nice to see. You also have to have a griffin pet equipped to damage another player's mythological mobs. There's a new texture to the Zog's Anvil, which I guess is interesting. Also, the Minotaur's Bestiary has been dropped to 1,000 kills to max. There's also a short guide to Mayor Diana's in-game office menu, which is cool to see. They added 15% magic resistance to all mythological mobs that didn't already have it, so no more using hype, I guess. There's a bunch of other notable changes. They talk about the Crown of Greed stuff. They talk about the Crown of Avarice stuff. Also, the Sword of Revelations is now significantly cheaper, which is nice to see. They adjusted some rarities of pet items, basically just making them epic when they weren't. They also added mythological mob prefixes. Some of the other big changes here, they adjusted the Blade of Derailious. We kind of already talked about that. It now only copies combat stats, so you can't really use it with a golden dragon to get more magic find. They adjusted a lot of stuff related to the Griffin pet, but really it just feels like quite a few buffs. Notably, its strength and health regen has been added onto it, which is very, very nice to see. They removed the intel, which wasn't really needed to begin with. The health regen, though, I think will be pretty notable. They've also removed the ability to recombobulate the various Griffin upgrade stones, which I find very, very funny. Lastly, we have some other quality of life changes. Notably, they've added the Pest Hunter Relic to the Pest Hunter's wares. This costs 200 pests and 1 Pest Hunter artifact. Also, we talked about the Anguish Talisman line. This you get from Ghost Drops. There's the Ghost Bestiary, which got reduced from 100k to max down to 40k to max. They've also made a change to the Ragnarok Axe, which they walked back. Originally, they were going to make the ability deteriorate over a 10-second period. They decided, though, because of the recent changes to melee, they didn't want to do that, which kind of makes sense. They adjusted the Venomous enchant as well because of Venomous 7, reducing the walk speed penalty inflicted and slightly reducing the venom damage per tick. Don't know how much of a nerf that is, but that kind of feels like Venomous 7 is going to be the new Venomous 6. Whatever. They also nerfed the Enderman Slayer 9 perk, which we talked about as well, and they adjusted the amount of soul string needed for several crafts. As you can see, quite a bit more is needed now. Wrapping up here, the gameplay loop seems pretty clear. You're going to want to upgrade your spades so you can have longer burrows, and if you have longer burrows, that means you get better mobs and more mobs. And the more mobs you kill, that means you can get their rare drops. You can upgrade the pet items. You can get things like the Mythos fragments, make the new armor set, giving you more and more magic find. This isn't really a big change to stuff like Chimera. Maybe the drop rate is a little bit better, and you might get a little bit more of it over your event. But I imagine players will probably be using Chimera a little bit more often on other pieces of gear now that things like the Derailious blade have been changed and are not necessarily as important to maximize your magic find. It seems like the admins have kind of been on a tear in terms of trying to get rid of as many swaps as possible. Kind of seems like they don't want that to be the case anymore. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys think about that in the comments down below. Also tell me about the Crown of Avarice change. I know a lot of people are going to have opinions about that one. But yeah, let me know what you think about the update. Overall, I'm pretty positive on a lot of the changes. I think the event is very, very cool. I do wish they made a separate island for it. It would have been so awesome to see. But for now, whatever. I guess this is what we're going to have to get, you know what I mean? I think the changes are good, though, nonetheless. Once again, would love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. And look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.